29 wins, 0 losses. Khabib Nurmagomedov never suffered a significant cut or blood in the octagon. Against a decade of world-class competition, he dominated so thoroughly that he lost only 2 rounds in his entire career. That level of dominance started in the mountains of Russia, where childhood training meant wrestling a live bear cub. This grappling session was the first step in a meticulous, lifelong blueprint designed to engineer a fighter with no detectable weaknesses. The blueprint was conceived in the isolated villages of Dagestan. This geography is famous for producing elite combat athletes, but Khabib's path was defined by a specific type of domestic rigor. His father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, enforced an army-like existence. At 13, Khabib was responsible for cleaning, cooking, and ironing his own clothes, a routine designed to build total independence before he ever stepped onto a mat. Abdulmanap was a master of sports in judo and sambo. He funneled that expertise into a grueling training system, using constant wrestling to keep local youth disciplined and away from the region's extremist influences. By the time Khabib turned professional, years of this daily attrition had prepared him to handle the physical and mental stress of high-level competition. Now, the question was whether his father's mountain discipline could survive the distractions of global fame. Khabib entered the UFC in 2012 and immediately introduced a suffocating style his team called Father's Plan. The MMA world came to know it as Smesh. This diagram shows his core control, the Dagestani handcuff. Pressing his opponent against the cage, Khabib isolates one wrist behind their own back, tangling their legs. Unable to base themselves, the bottom fighter's attempt to stand fails. They topple forward, pinned and unable to defend. This system allowed Khabib to control the fight against Al Iaquinta from start to finish, securing the lightweight belt and the division's crown. Opponents spent entire training camps preparing for this specific grappling chain, yet none could solve the mechanics Khabib had been perfecting since he was 9 years old. But the ultimate test of Father's Plan wasn't a technical puzzle. It was Conor McGregor. McGregor was everything Khabib was not, a loud, wealthy superstar who used psychological warfare to break his opponents before they ever fought. The rivalry turned violent when McGregor attacked a bus with a steel dolly, injuring several fighters. He followed the attack with personal insults directed at Khabib's religion, his father, and his heritage. At UFC 229, Khabib stayed composed. He weathered McGregor's early strikes and used his chain wrestling to exhaust the Irishman, eventually forcing a tap in the 4th round. The win didn't satisfy the grudge. Seconds after the submission, Khabib vaulted the cage and dove into the crowd to attack McGregor's cornerman. The resulting brawl left a shadow over the victory, but it made one thing clear. Khabib wasn't fighting for pay-per-view points. He was defending his father's honor. In 2020, the Nurmagomedov family faced a tragedy that training couldn't fix. Abdulmanap passed away due to complications from COVID-19, leaving Khabib to navigate the sport without his lifelong mentor. Khabib decided to fight one last time at UFC 254 against Justin Gaethje. It was the first time in his career he had to make the walk without his father in his corner. After putting Gaethje to sleep with a triangle choke, an emotional Khabib announced his retirement. He had promised his mother he wouldn't continue fighting without his father. By walking away at 29-0, he turned down tens of millions of dollars to keep that promise, ending his career at the absolute peak of his abilities. Post-retirement life has lacked the clarity of the gym. Khabib has admitted that managing multiple businesses is more difficult than fighting, largely because he is navigating an environment where people don't always follow the rules. Even so, the Nurmagomedov legacy continues to dominate the sport. New Dagestani champions like Islam Makhachev are currently using Abdulmanap's exact blueprints to maintain a stranglehold on the UFC rankings. This leaves us with a question that divides fight fans. Did Khabib prove he is the undisputed greatest of all time by retiring flawless, or did he leave the sport too early? Tell us your pick in the comments.